But you can't jump to conclusions. Instead of just reacting, like I saw everybody on TV this weekend reacting, can we think like an adult for a second? First, what is the objective? This kind of goes into the just war theory, and I spent a lot of time on the just war theory. I want to know, is this just?
Guys, thanks so much for joining John Soto. This is SotoCast. Glenn Beck, the great Glenn Beck, breaks down. His analysis is fantastic. We're going to go along with it, hear him step by step, interject, add a little bit more to the discussion along the way. Let's see what we all think.
Is this right? When do we have to step in and when do we not? Why do we step in here and not in Sudan? Okay. First, is the objective conquest? No.
By the way, that is a great point. I've been bringing that up time and time again. Like the difference between this and all the other wars, all the other wars that are out there. What's the difference? Right? You can't just say it's because people are being hurt. You can't just say it's because people are dying. You can't just say it's because it's the right thing to do, because that is an objective thing. The right thing to do, there are many right things to do, potentially. There are many atrocities that are happening throughout the world. The question is, why are we intervening in this particular moment, in this particular time? A lot of people have a lot of different views about that, a lot of different theories about that. Listen to Glenn's take. I think it's excellent.
First, is the objective conquest? No. Is it regime change? Not sure. Is it humiliation? No. Is the objective the removal of a destabilizing terror-sponsored, nuclear-seeking command structure that has choked its own people and threatened an entire region? Yes, I believe that's it, but not only that. And that's really important. If the aim is limited and strategic, disable the head of the system that fuels regional chaos, then it is categorically different from marching divisions into a country to rebuild that country in our image. Iraq was nation building, okay? This appears at this point to be decapitation and deterrence. You'll notice that he has not dictated that this will not be an Islamic State. Did you notice that?
That is a key point. That is a key point. I mean, in every one of those other forever wars, we were always told that we are going to bestow upon them essentially our values, our democracy, and all of everything that we had. That we're going to make them like us, or we're going to allow them the ability to be like us, when that was never something that probably they wanted to begin with. So in this case, it is extremely different. There is a difference in what's going on here. This isn't, again, this is not the stereotypical Republican neocon conducting these operations. There's a totally different feel to it. It is nerve-wracking to all hell, because we're just waiting. I mean, I keep thinking the same thing. I keep thinking about 15 days to slow the spread. That, to me, that just reverberates in my head all throughout this. And I just hope to everything that we're not talking about this 2 years from now. But we don't know at this time. The track record does speak for itself. That will not be the case. But you just never know. I have confidence in that won't be the case. But you just never know.
This is not the same as Iraq. I'm not saying it's better or that you have to agree with it. Please understand, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm just trying to help you think it through. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me, and that's okay. My job is to help you think it through, not agree with me. Second thing, was peace attempted first? This one matters enormously. You can't just rush into war. And in the past, we have rushed into military action without creating a regional structure capable of sustaining peace afterward, okay? And maybe we haven't exhausted the road to peace. So this one is different. First of all, beginning at Jimmy Carter, we have exhausted peace. I mean,
so here's the thing when it comes to that. And I might have a little bit of a different take to what Glenn is saying here. The attempt at peace, I feel as though I may be undergoing some sort of propaganda. Let me explain to you why. Let me flesh this out. We're being told that the Iranian regime would say anything and do anything and then not abide by their the agreements that they had made in the past. So about a month or so ago, we start sending, after Venezuela, we basically pivot. We start sending massive amount of resources into the region. And during that time, everybody sees what's happening. Everybody sees what's going on. Well, most people, the people that are paying attention, which is actually, unfortunately, a very small amount of people. So this massive fleet is heading towards the Middle East. And we're being told that there are individuals that are attempting to negotiate and try to have this not become a hot war. Up until the day before, or a day or two before, we're being told that Iran is saying that. So now, at this point, they're completely surrounded. They know what is about to come. They know for a fact that they are about to be attacked. And supposedly, they're saying that they will not stop the nuclear program. And this is where, like, I'm trying to cut through all the information that I'm getting. And let me know if this makes sense to you. If we believe that, and pretty much this part we kind of know that the Iranians will just say whatever, and then just, let's make a deal, and then they'll just do whatever it is they need to do. If that was the case, why didn't they just say, yeah, we'll stop the nuclear program? We'll stop it. Full stop. Like, you don't have to worry about it anymore. We're going to turn everything off. Like, they know they're about to be attacked. Like, they know, like, everything is pointed in their direction. They're about to get, annihilated. So why don't they just say, you know what, guys? You got it. Here are the keys to the car. You could take the nukes and drive away. And then what would that do? All the resources went there. And now Iran just goes out on TV and just says, we're good. Like, you guys can have it. That was the one thing that they wanted. That part I don't get. It doesn't make sense to me. Why not just say that and then just lie and just do the other thing? So, I'm just caught in this middle ground where, I don't know, does that make sense to you guys? I mean, flesh that out. It doesn't make sense to me. It seems like something there was just not right. And I don't know what that means, really, but that's just, what I'm just been struggling with that particular part.
49 years of peace talks, okay? And what's different, why I believe Donald Trump did not take this on the first time, is because he hadn't done the work. He had done the Abraham Accords, but he had not done the rest of the work that is needed. The Abraham Accords fundamentally altered the Middle East diplomacy. It brought key Arab states into open normalization with Israel. And for the first time, major Sunni powers publicly aligned around coexistence rather than we got to wipe Israel off the face of the map. So they kind of joined the Western world and went, we can kind of coexist here. Also, Hamas's military capacity severely degraded since October 7th attacks and also the war in Gaza that shifted the strategic balance in the region. Also, several Arab nations and governments have become stakeholders in stability rather than chaos. They're no longer standing on the sidelines. They are now saying, we want peace. Okay, that's not a small shift. That is a tectonic shift. Here's what we have done in the past. We have gone in and said, we're going to bring peace. Freedom's on the march, and we're going to bring freedom to these people. You cannot bring freedom to these people. I thought we could in Afghanistan. I even kind of thought we could in Iraq. That's absolutely idiocy to think you can bring people freedom. They must fight for it themselves. They must want it themselves. So if we were going into nation build, I'm absolutely dead set against it. If you remove a destabilizing regime after regional powers are economically and politically invested in peace, the odds of a vacuum of chaos shrink dramatically. They don't go away. It still could become.
And this is something that, again, at this point, he's hedging, as we kind of all are. Why? Because we've been fooled so many times before. And so then the question then becomes, I mean, I think Glenn is a brilliant guy. And he's essentially admitting, and I'm a little, like, I really wasn't in that space at that time. You know, I'm in my early 40s. I really wasn't politically activated, one, and two, I come from New York, so my affiliations were very, very liberal. So during all that time, I wasn't really paying attention to any of this stuff. But essentially, you know, somebody as smart as Glenn is claiming that he's been fooled time and time, the previous times when it came to these types of wars. So what is the difference now? There is much difference now. Could we possibly be getting fooled now? Absolutely. Not a doubt. It's more than likely that we are being fooled to some degree. That's just the nature of everything. I mean, if it's not in your house right now, then there is the potential for, you know, being taken for a ride. And even if it is in your house right now, you could still be taken for a ride. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we are just completely being fooled. And that's why he is shaping this in the way that he is. He's very masterful at doing it. He's very good. He's been doing this for a long, long time. But listen to where he gets into now. And it's just really well structured. And it's just something that I think it just rounds out the discussion and the argument right here.
Horrible in the end. This doesn't guarantee success, but it changes the probability curve, okay? Third thing I asked myself, can you be anti-war and still use force effectively? Yes, look at Donald Trump. This one is key. This is not, can you fight a war and be anti-war? This is, can you be against war and fight it effectively? Donald Trump is not pro-war. I don't care what any of the other pundits say that are now turned on Donald Trump, and I am not here to shovel garbage I'm not carrying any weight, any water for Donald Trump. He's a big boy. He can handle himself, okay? I'm here just to tell you how I think about things and what I have noticed. During his first term, Donald Trump authorized the strike that killed Soleimani, okay? This is the guy that was the architect of the Iran regional proxy war. This is the guy who was responsible for killing many U.S. soldiers, okay? When he did it, people said, gonna set the whole Middle East on fire, but it didn't. Then ISIS. Barack Obama tried to fight ISIS for 2 terms, couldn't fight it. Hillary Clinton goes over. She actually helps create it, make it more powerful. I mean, it was horrible. Remember, ISIS was burning Christians in cages and we did nothing about it. Donald Trump, they were killing our soldiers and Donald Trump said, we got to do this. And all the generals said, it's going to take us 2 years. And he said, bull crap, it's going to take us 2 years. Is there anybody who has less than a 2-year plan? That's when he found Raising Cane. General Kane came in and said, I can get it done in 4 weeks. And he explained the plan. And Donald Trump said, you're either crazy or you're my guy. And he convinced him he wasn't crazy. And what happened? We wiped ISIS out. The control of ISIS collapsed almost overnight, okay? Far, far, far faster than even the most optimistic people predicted possible.
People also need to understand that when it comes to military strategy, it is akin to, it's like rocket science, this stuff. I mean, this is not, you know, if you read about this stuff, and I do not study it. I've just, you know, just read or listened to audiobooks mainly. I mean, it is equivalent to rocket science. It is calculus. It is like any other field of study that is extremely complex, and it's not something that you can just know. You have to be a student of it to understand it. So if he has these brilliant minds that are not politically motivated to create a forever war, and just like in that example, he stated that because they did crush ISIS, that is That's not disputed almost anywhere. And he just said there that a lot of the generals did say, and I'm sure they all said it was going to take a couple of years. It's going to take a couple of years. And it just goes to show you that when politics comes into play with anything that you do, it changes the calculus. It changes everything. And so if we're dealing with a scenario now with this war where you still have those like-minded people that are not politically driven, that are they're military industrial complex adjacent. Yes, they are definitely part of the machine. They're part of the beast. But they still want the least amount of Americans to get caught up and die. That's number one. And number two, they're not part of the massive apparatus that it also shifts into nation building and, gathering up massive sums of money on the back end. Then maybe this is viable.
Because Donald Trump started to surround himself with the people who knew what they were doing, weren't part of the system of bullcrap, and were fighting to win, okay? And that's when the message was sent by him. It was clear. Restraint does not mean weakness. There is a pattern here. He disdains prolonged occupation, paired with a willingness to use unrelenting, overwhelming, precise force with a great strategy. That's not neocon nation building, okay? That is completely different than what we did. This is coercive leverage. Fourth question. The capability that we have. Does that matter morally? Yes, it does. I don't believe in a fair fight when it comes to war. I don't want a fair fight when it comes to war. I want to be so overwhelmingly powerful that it takes the oxygen out of the lungs of our enemies all over the world and they go, oh my gosh, don't ever mess with them. That's the way to fight war. Now, one of the just war criteria is the probability of success. If you launch a war that you cannot win, you are not moral, you are reckless. If this president had demonstrated that when he uses force, it's targeted, short duration, strategically defined, followed by negotiation, then the moral calculus shifts. A limited strike backed by regional diplomatic architecture is not the same species of action as open-ended occupation, boots on the ground.
Dude, that statement right there, phenomenal. I know he writes these things out, and he can. It's not like me that I'm just like on the whim and just rolling with it. That's a phenomenal statement. I mean, I want to take it back a little bit just to hear that again.
Defined, followed by negotiation, then the moral calculus shifts. A limited strike backed by regional diplomatic architecture is not the same species of action as open-ended occupation, boots on the ground.
It's fantastic.
But isn't that how we all get into all these foreign wars, I ask myself, all these forever wars? Okay, so what about forever wars? Every American carries Iraq and Afghanistan in their bones now. We always will. No one wants 20 more years of ambiguity, drift, and defeat, and asking yourself, what the hell was that all about? But here's the question that we have to model honestly. Is refusing to act, even when action might prevent something larger, actually be the safer path? If a regime funds proxies across Lebanon, Gaza, Yemen, Iraq, if it arms militias, threatens choke points for maritime travel, pursues advanced weapons capability, like ballistic missiles, and I am discounting all the nuclear talk because I've heard that for 30 years. At what point does our inaction create the very forever war we fear? I come at this differently so so when you're trying to make your decision, you understand mine. I believe we're already in World War III. I believe we are going to be fighting the armies of Islam in the future. And the head of that snake, a very dangerous head of that snake, are the 12ers that were running Iran. They are the most dangerous of any Islamic cult, okay? And sometimes refusing to act early guarantees a bigger conflict later. But this is not oh, yep, I know this is it. But peace is not being passive. Peace is stability enforced. Okay. Also, we have the people that were killed on the streets. But yeah, but why not Sudan then? This one I wrestled with this weekend, and this is so uncomfortable because thousands have been slaughtered in Sudan just for being Christian. Okay?
True.
Christians persecuted, horrors everywhere. So why not take that on? This is a really nasty thing, but this has to be said. We have to understand this.
So at this part, I actually didn't listen to. Interested to see what he says and see how it lines up with what I'm thinking. There are atrocities that are happening all over the world at all times. So why use that little bit of justification to go into here? Two. One, we just don't use that justification. We go in because of all the other reasons. The second is akin to the first in that there are atrocities. We will use that as some moral justification, but the real reasons are all the other reasons. And I'm wondering if that's what he's going to say here. Let me see how I did.
A nation cannot survive and act purely on moral horror. Okay? We can't, or we would be everywhere. Strategic impact, regional domino effects, alliance commitments, nuclear proliferation risks, direct threats to our citizens. What makes this different than the Sudan is Iran sits at the center of multiple global pressure points simultaneously: energy, shipping lanes, proxy networks, nuclear ambition, terrorism, and CRINK, which I'll get into in a little while, which is so important. If you miss CRINK, you don't understand what he's doing at all. Sudan is tragic, horrific and tragic. Iran is systemic. That doesn't make the suffering unequal in value at all. It just makes the geopolitical stakes unequal in scale. And that is not hypocrisy. It is statescraft. Okay? So, is this different? It may be. And not because war is good, but because peace groundwork, I believe, was laid first if you look at what he's trying to do in the Middle East. Regional players were brought into the ownership like I've never seen before. The strike appears to be limited and precise. There is no declared ambition for occupation. We don't want to be there. The president has a record of preferring leverage over quagmire. This could end badly. Zealots are patient. Retaliation likely. Sleeper networks are real. But it is equally possible that removing the head of this regime while surrounding it with economic normalization will produce a collapse inward rather than an explosion outward. And that didn't exist in 2003.
Yeah, guys. I mean, Glenn says it very well, and it's the reason why I play this particular video is just to showcase it is so much more complicated than people think. There is so much going on here, and I just want somebody that is as eloquent as Glenn to get it out there and get it to you, and then also talk about it during his monologue and during his discussion, just to flesh it out. Because a lot of the times, a lot of these things are so complex that I'll hear a bit and then we'll just reflect in the moment. There's nothing written and there's nothing prepared. Just he says something and then I kind of think it out loud, think through it, and see, just so that everybody else can just have that moment to think and process it. Get a different angle, get a different take. But yeah, it's not cut and dry. It's not cut and dry. I just hope that in the end, and a sidebar, like I really do like all of the anti-interventionists, like all the libertarians, even the Jimmy Dores, the Dave Smiths, the Tim Dillons, like even all those guys that are extremely, like even Nick Fuentes, like the very, I like all of the ideas. I like everybody meshing together and everything kind of blending in, and I still formulate my own opinion, and I'm not bought and paid for by anybody. I'm propagandized just like everybody else is, that's without a doubt, because we all are, and the moment that you think you're not, that's when you probably are the most. So thank you so much for joining me here. Please check out the Glenn Beck 6283 Talk on the X is me there. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. I'm John Soto, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care.